Hello, everyone. Um, we are doing a live segment today. This segment is going to be about egg cleansing and other methods of cleansing. The reason that we thought we would do this is because a few people that I know has been doing egg cleansing and they've been doing it the wrong way. Um, how they've been doing it is just I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of scary. So when you do an egg cleanse, you don't need to do 4 eggs at a time. You do not need to sleep an, with an egg in your bra because you're going to crunch it and it's going to be a yucky mess, or even put it into your bed next to you or something underneath a pillow, um, or put it at 4 corners of your room while you sleep. So we're going to show you, Nico and I, is how to do the correct way on doing an egg cleansing. Okay. And Nico should be coming on here in just a second.
Hi guys.
Okay, great. So, Nico,
Yep.
are you ready to get us started on how you're going to do a step by step on an egg cleanse for everybody?
All right. So for this, I recommend a clear cup or jar, and I'm gonna pull up. I have a second camera set up for this. So we have a mason jar here with regular water. You can use holy water, blessed water, moon water if you prefer. And then I have my egg. We'll go there. And ideally, you want to let this egg sit out for about an hour. It ideally room temperature because nobody likes to rub a cold egg on themselves. That's not an ideal situation. You can do a cold. Um, I did not prep this egg long enough. It is still slightly cold, but it'll work. Um, and then we are going to pray over the egg, and this can be a mantra. You're telling the egg what you want it to do. Um, and that can be as simple as with this egg, I declare that all illness, negativity, and curses be stored from a life for a life, from mine to yours. So will it be. And then I start by holding my egg and I start thinking about all of the crud that you've gone through for the week, day, month. I recommend doing these, weekly if things are really bad. I do mine once a month, and I do mine on the full moon as part of my practice. And then if things are really chaotic or I feel weird, I may do another one, but I typically do one about once a month. And so I'm just sitting with the egg here for a second, and then we are going to rub the egg from top all the way down, so from head to toe. And you can do this. I've seen people do circles. I've seen people do straight lines up and down. But you want to get in as many nooks and crannies as you possibly can. So I'm going to start with my head. So I go front to back on my head, around my head, across my third eye, eyes, mouth, throat, back of the neck, behind my ears, and then I go down my arms, both sides, all the way up to the underarm, across the chest, down the other arm. And then I go sweeping motions down my chest. And then I'm not the most flexible person, so I like to hold the egg along my spine. If you can reach to sweep the egg up and down yourself, more power to you. Or if somebody else is doing the egg rubbing for you, and you can do this on yourself or somebody else. You can do this on an animal too. I have seen that as well. I actually think it's quite cute. And then down the legs. So from thigh all the way to the bottom of your feet. I do the top of my legs, hit the bottom of my feet, sides, and then hit the back. And then where I deviate from this is I hold my egg and cup it, and then I breathe or exhale 3 times onto the egg, and I'm visualizing any like black, gunky, slimy being exhaled and pushed into the egg. All right, and then crack this sucker. And then we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes, and this is going to allow any bubbles that are going to form to have time to rise up. Um, and ideally 10 minutes to 30 minutes, um, just to let the egg kind of develop and kind of show you what's going on. So I will turn our egg off for a minute and we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Okay, awesome then. And once we go back to the egg, we have interpretation of what each egg will mean. Um, Nick is going to do, of course, that first egg, but some of the meanings we have, he will explain that in just a moment for you
Mhm.
once we go back to that egg. In the meantime, um, I do have some questions that I would like to ask Nico.
Yep.
Nico is into folk magic, so he does some cleansing that might be different than some others. So, first of all, I want to ask Nick. Now, Nico, you also do cleansing yourself with smoke and incense.
Yep.
How do you do this, and how do you think is it really effective or not?
I think so. Um, so for I guess the difference between like doing smoke cleansing and an egg cleanse, smoke cleanse is gonna be like a quick, like I need to just like refresh myself and get kind of the cred of the day off. An egg cleanse does do a little bit deeper and shows us some other things. Um, Whereas smoke cleanse, generally I'm doing this to like set myself in between like seeing a client if I'm doing healing work or after doing spell work to especially for other people to like disconnect myself from their energies or to help settle my own energy. And for me, um, if you're using, a smoke bundle, sage, cedar, sweetgrass, juniper, um, light that, and then you can use a smudge fan to direct it towards you or waft it with your hands. And then I like to take the bundle around my head, and then I fan my chest, under the arms, in between my legs, and then under the soles of my feet. Now, if I'm performing like a smudging ritual, like the actual smudging ritual, which will be different than like a staining, which is what I had just described. That's
Mm-hmm.
Native American practice, and that is a little bit different. Um, and that uh, is more akin to washing yourself with smoke, and there's prayers involved with that, so that is done a little bit differently.
Great. Yeah, we always done the shaman way with them smoking incense
Mm.
before we enter any rituals or anything. Okay, what's the most important thing to remember when cleansing negative energy?
I think having a good, like, what I call the spiritual hygiene practice. So having a schedule of when you do cleanse, and I think that regularly cleansing is important, but like scheduling it so that you don't necessarily overdo it.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Um,
Yes, it does. Because in magic and cleansing or anything, people sometimes tend to overdo it.
mhm. And especially when doing like a cleansing that has a divination aspect to it, if I do that too much, I can't read that because there's not enough information collected, if that makes sense. The
Yep.
the egg wouldn't have enough in between cleansing to do it. Now, if your egg looks really bad, I recommend doing a second egg to make sure that you get it all off, or
Hmm.
follow up, do the egg, use it as the divination, and then follow that up with another cleansing method, whether you're um, smudging yourself or you do like a spiritual bath or energy work, crystals, anything along those lines to make sure that you're getting it done because you can just do the egg as a divination technique. And then there's another style where reading the egg is also optional. You don't have to read the egg. Um, and there is a precaution with reading the eggs is you do not look at the glass from the top down. You always want to look at the glass from the side. So whether you have to put a lid on this, which is why I like using mason jars, so that
Hmm.
you don't accidentally look at the egg from the top, because the folklore to that is that looking down upon the egg from the top will have it jump back onto you, and then you have to start all over.
Oh, that is interesting. Interesting. Thank you. Not to put you on the spot here, but can you share a personal experience with a powerful cleansing ritual?
Yes. So I have a fondness of ritual baths or showers.
Oh.
So one of my favorite ways to do that is so before rituals, or I've had a really gross day and I just want to get it off. Folk magic is filled with a lot of sympathetic magic, and that is doing something in the mundane and adding a spiritual aspect to it. So, showers, we're washing our body and we're cleansing the dirt off of ourselves. So, adding a ritualistic aspect to that with prayers, and then you can add oils, herbs, salts, or just visualizations, and then help send all of that negativity down the drain with the dirt. And that kind of helps with the visual aspect of like I'm not just physically clean, but I'm like spiritually clean at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And a practice like that, I find that probably 90% of the crud that people accumulate, the jealousy, envy, evil eye, um, that ill intent that people send to you, it washes down the drain. Now, if somebody's working really, really heavy curse work, it might not break that depending on what herbs and stuff you're adding, but that's what the egg is going to show us if something like that's going to be going on. and then we can tailor a bath to that with adding like rue, mint, calendula, or agrimony and some salt.
Wow, very interesting. Okay, very educational too, if I may add. Oh, shoot. Am I still on? Yes, I am.
Yep.
Everything just went blank for me. So,
Oh,
just give me a moment here. How's that egg doing, by the way?
let's take a look and
Is it
see.
time, you think, or I don't think so.
Uh,
Probably not yet.
we got some development. Uh,
Okay.
Maybe give it another minute or two and see if we get any more movement.
Okay. Great. Okay. So, how did you find out about doing the egg cleansing? Is that something that was your priest or priestess told you, or something that you just got out of some books or something?
A little bit of both, actually. So,
Okay.
Chrissy, being my priestess here, our tradition does do egg cleansings,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as in my folk magic tradition, eggs are used as a divination to check for what they call the ear eye, the evil eye, as well as curses. And so the divination aspect was something that I had already done, but in traditional
Okay.
witchcraft, they're worked a little different. So traditional witchcraft, once we're done reading the egg, you can perform a return to sender right in the jar. Whereas in folk magic, I'm gonna go throw this at a crossroads and then
Okay.
don't look back at it. So I mean the disposals are a little different. Where I traditional or modern witchcraft, you can perform a return to sender if the egg looks bad and then flush it down the toilet. If you're
Okay.
all clear and the egg looks good, if you want to make an omelet with it, more power to you. I like to use old eggs for this so that I'm not going to waste anything. So ideally, I like to do these. That's why I do them about once a month because about the time my eggs go bad and I'm going to get ready to toss them out or make eggshell powder anyway, so
Pretty cool. How do you know when a space or person needs cleansing?
there's a couple ways. So if you go the mundane route, you've had arguments, you know that people are gossiping about you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have an unusual string of bad luck, and I always say, once is interesting, twice is a coincidence, three times is concerning.
True.
So if I have three bad things happen to me in a day, and they're like kind of weird, I'm probably gonna go home and do an egg cleanse and check on it and kind of see what's going on.
Okay. And for other people too, what would you suggest? Um, how they feel, like icky. Usually when I
Yeah.
feel icky and I feel like I had a bad week, it's like, okay,
Mm,
I just need to do one. Usually I do
yep.
once a month like you. But sometimes I do once a week because it's like it's just been a minute, you know?
Yep.
So I feel better once I do one. So if you saw me and you was like, "Oh, hey, Gypsy, I think you really need to do a cleansing." I
Mm,
mean, do you actually
I
do
mean,
that to other people?
yes. So generally, someone will tell you like they're venting. My week's been really bad.
Mm,
Like I lost my job, or you know, my spouse burnt $100,
oh,
or like you know, my coworkers are gossiping about me, and I stubbed my toe, and all this happens in like 2 days, and it's like, oh, maybe we should look at something.
yeah.
And
Mhm. Right. Right.
Or for a space like weird, there's like a weird odor sometimes, and it kind of varies. Uh, but I work in a senior living center, and I walked into a resident's room, and his room smelled like rotten eggs and stale
Oh.
urine.
Ooh.
And I could not find the source of this smell for the life of me. I don't know why it smelled like that. And I walked in this room, and the hair on my arm stood up like I was like in a ball of static, and it's like I don't like it here. So I did what I had to do, and I got out of that room, and it's like that. There's something wrong with that.
Most definitely. Um, a lot of people thinks that cleansing and protection might be the same thing, but it's not. So,
No,
what's the difference between cleansing and protection?
cleansing is removing negativity. Sometimes I hate to say illness, but in some folk traditions, it's used when you're not feeling well for pains. You're just feeling icky for nightmares. And how you do the egg with those depends on what's going on. So, like,
Okay.
if you have you're feeling sore, you may rub it on your sore joints, things like that, and then dispose of the egg. Nightmares, you can put the egg in a glass of water uncracked and put that under your bed, or put that um, on your nightstand, or if you have a secure place, you can put an uncracked egg on like a bedpost. I have cats. That's not super dependable for me. And it looks like we lost Chrissy, so I'm hoping she pops back in here. Um, but as far as cleansings versus protections, cleansings are I almost want to say the maintenance for before I do protections or after. So I look at cleansings more like brushing my teeth, and protections more like making sure my front door is locked. So cleansings for me are getting rid of the little stuff and the bleed over. And this can be unintentional energies. This can be um, because that's probably 90% of what people are going to encounter. Um, Not saying that there aren't a lot of witches, but the instance that you're going to get targeted by somebody with negative witchcraft is few and far between. So I'm not concerned with that as much with where people directing negative intent, jealousy, the evil eye, gossip. That's more like the little stuff. Now,
Mm-hmm.
being in the public eye in the witchy community can make you more likely to get in a witch war with somebody if you have
Yeah.
issues with jealousy or all kinds of things. But those are going to be fewer and farther between. Not saying that they don't happen, but it's
Yes.
rarer than people think it is. And
Yeah, it's true, and I I've been in about a couple myself, so
mhm.
I know how it is.
And for cleansings, like I said, cleansings like locking your front door for me, or cleansings like brushing your teeth, and protections are like locking the front door. If you can't break into my house the normal way because everything's locked,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to break a window or pick the lock. So, and if you have multiple protections, you have the deadbolt, you have the chain on the door, you have the bottom lock, and you put that stick or the chair up against that doorknob, they're probably not getting through. And then I have to deal with my own crud that I accumulate instead of other
Yes.
people's crud on top of that. Which you can that's